Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon and welcome to Strictly Business. Strictly Business is your informational talk show featuring businesses from start-up to stellar. I'm Anna Banks, your host, and our episode today is going to help you to get organized. Every time the first of the year comes around, we always make all of those resolutions about the things that we want to get done. And besides losing weight, the next thing that's usually on the list is getting ourselves organized. So for our entrepreneurs that are listening today and for our guests that are in the chat room, I just want to say that today's show is just for you. Just a couple of housekeeping details, though. If you want to call in and you have questions for our guests, please call in at area code 718-766-4021. That's area code 718-766-4021. And for those of us who will be joining us via the Internet, you can visit us at www.blogtalkradio.com/strictlybusiness. And our chat room is open for those who want to pose their questions over the Internet. With that said, let's get on to our show for today. Our show is called Get Organized, Tips for Entrepreneurs at Home and in the Office. And our guest is a professional organizer. In fact, she's also a woman that I strongly admire. She is the CEO of Powerfully Organized. Her name is Kathy Powell. So welcome to Strictly Business, Kathy.
Thank you, Anna. It's good to be here.
I'm so glad that you were able to join us. There's just a couple of things that I want to share with our audience about who you are, and then if I've left anything out, please, by all means, I'll ask you just to fill in some of the other details for us. And so let me just tell you a little bit about Kathy Powell. Kathy Powell is a professional organizer and productivity coach. She founded Powerfully Organized in 1995. She's barely old enough to do that, I'm telling you.
You're very kind.
Well, I've seen you, and for those who are listening today, if you haven't seen a picture of Kathy, you can go and visit strictlybusinessradio.com. She is absolutely a beautiful woman, not only on the outside, but also on the inside. But Powerfully Organized was organized in 1995, and they offer three primary services. Her services include productivity counseling, business and personal coaching, and also training. One of the things that I like about Kathy is that as a consultant, she really helps her clients who are very busy people to manage their time and their electronic information. As a coach, though, she helps her clients also become more effective and to get a balanced life. Isn't that something that many of our entrepreneurs need? And as a trainer, she provides teleclasses and webinars, and she really just does a phenomenal job with that. And so, Kathy, did I leave anything out, or is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I wear many hats, but I think you've covered the main ones. I'm a productivity consultant, a business and personal coach, and a trainer.
Okay, great. So, Kathy, why did you choose to go into this line of work, and especially in the mid-'90s? You know, coaching has just become very, very popular. Just recently, it seems like everyone is a coach of one sort or another. But back in 1995, when you organized your coaching business, what had you do that?
Well, I actually started out as a consultant, not as a coach, and the coaching came along a few years later. In 1995, I had left a 13-year career. I was pretty burned out. I had been in nonprofit work. I did fundraising, and I was not fulfilled, and I was stressed, and I left the field, but I didn't know what I was going to do next. And I learned about the field of professional organizing in 1995 when I was reading a Women's Day magazine on an airplane. And it just, the article jumped off the page at me, and I said, wow, that's what I do. I help people organize things. And I didn't even know that you could get paid for that. So I came back home after my trip, and I did a little market research, and I discovered there were a handful of professional organizers in the Seattle area where I live. And that was in June, and in August 1 of 1995, I opened my doors. And the first year in business, by the end of the first year, I was pretty frustrated because I would go into people's homes, and at that time I was doing mostly home organization, and I would go into people's homes and I would help them get organized, and then I would check back with them a few months later, only to find that things had pretty much gone back to their original state. Sometimes it would take less than 3 months to do that, and sometimes it would take more. But for the most part, I found that the work that I did with my clients was not long-lasting, and I really felt like a Band-Aid. And I don't like to do Band-Aid work. That's not who I am. I like to help people in a broader sense so that they can wean themselves off of working with me as a consultant, and they're so happy with my work that they're out telling others about me. That's what I really wanted. So I decided it was in 1996, I learned about coaching. And by 1998, I was offering coaching. I registered in a coach training institution, and I became a certified coach. And so I started offering coaching in conjunction with the consulting, and today I actually do more coaching than I do consulting. And the consulting that I do is entirely virtual. I no longer go to people's, and now I work pretty much with business people rather than residential. I don't go to their offices. I work with them virtually because organizing is really mostly mental. There is a physical component to it, but most of it is really, truly mental. And I can do much of my work over the phone.
Oh, that's pretty exciting, especially in the type of world that we live in now, and then with this very strange economy that we're experiencing. Being able to do your work virtually, not being bound by what they call brick and mortar businesses, could be very, very beneficial. And so it seems like you were already ahead of the curve on that, Kathy. And so I really appreciate that. So let's just, can we just shift our focus a little bit and just move right into some of the questions that have been asked about coaching, not about just coaching, but just about getting our lives organized, especially as entrepreneurs or small business owners. So what have you noticed about the thousands of people that you have already worked with as a organization and productivity expert? What are some of the reoccurring concerns that people seem to have?
I would say, Anna, that today one of the biggest concerns that I hear over and over is I don't have enough time, and I just have too much to focus on at once. I hear more people today saying, I think I have ADD. And it's possible that some people who say that do have ADD, but I'll tell you, sometimes I feel like I have ADD too, because we are bombarded with so many things at once. And it's really a challenge to stay focused. And so those are some of the recurring themes that I hear. It's really more about time and focus.
Okay, so there's not enough time, but, we still all have 24 hours in a day. And let me just, as they would say, let me put a pin in that. I'm also one of those people. I never seem to have enough time to do some of the things that either I want to do or that I still need to do. Why is so much of a focus on not enough time, or how do we get a handle on that?
Well, I think that we have more choices than we've ever had before, so we've got to be, first of all, really clear about what our priorities are. If you're not clear about your priorities and you're saying yes to everything that's coming your way, you're going to be overwhelmed. And it's just more complex, more choices, more things that look really good that we do want to say yes to, and we can't say yes to everything. Also, more people are working from a home office. And the old model was that, we went to work, and oftentimes we had support staff that could help us with things. The new model is that we're working from home. Many small business owners work from home, and we don't have support staff, or if we do, they're virtual. And virtual assistants are wonderful. I have 5 virtual assistants I work with, all for different tasks. So I think that you can bring that support in different ways, but oftentimes we don't. And then there's that mix of work and home life, just trying to blend it together. And if I'm sitting here in my home office and the laundry room's just a few steps away, it's real easy for me to multitask and be doing other things. So, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that you need to be clear about what's okay, and if you want to set boundaries, and if you have kids in your environment or a spouse or anyone in your home that doesn't honor those boundaries, that becomes a challenge as well. So there are some challenges that we have today, especially with home office workers, that we didn't have before. There are also some great benefits, like the commute time. So we have to balance all that out.
Yeah, so what is your commute time right now, Kathy?
My commute time is about 30 seconds.
About 30 seconds.
Yeah, from upstairs to downstairs where my office is.
Okay, and I guess you don't have to worry about gasoline, you don't have to worry about, parking, you don't have to worry about any of those kinds of things with that short of a commute. I know there are a few of us that would probably relish that. Some of us are doing still a mix of going to an outside of the home office as well as maybe having a in-home office. Now, one of the things, if I could just backtrack just a second, you mentioned that in the working from home, that one of the tools or one of the things that you have utilized is that of a virtual assistant. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on that? What had you choose to get a virtual assistant, or get 5 in this particular case?
Well, I choose not to do everything myself. I think that we're best when we focus on what we do best and what we're most passionate about. Where those two intersect, that's when you're going to be most productive, when you love what you're doing and you're really good at it. And so everything else, as a small business owner, there are a lot of things about my business that I don't particularly love and I'm not particularly good at. But, the quarterly taxes need to be done, the bookkeeping needs to be done, they're getting contacts into my contact management software program. There are things that need to be done that I don't love doing, and even though I'm a reasonably good keyboard entry person, it's not my best skill and it's not my passion. So if I can find other people that can do that for a fraction of the cost of my time, and what I mean by that is if I look at what I'm able to earn, if I focus just on what I'm best at and what I love most, I'm going to earn a lot more money, and then I can afford that support. If I'm doing all those little things, someone once said, it's not the tigers that eat us alive, it's the gnats. And what I'm talking about is all those gnats. That if our jobs consist of all those gnats, we're going to get eaten alive, and we don't have time to do the big things that we're passionate about. So I am really passionate about giving away the things that I'm not passionate about. And I've found virtual assistants are very competent. Many times these are people who were top-notch workers in the corporate environment, got tired of someone else calling the shots, and tired of getting things in the 11th hour, and wanted to set their own rules and set their own hours and not have that commute. And so they've set up a business of their own, and they work for many people, and many of them have a retainer, a 10-hour retainer per month, and you use that time up each month, and if you don't use it, you lose it. That's a pretty standard arrangement with a virtual assistant. There are others that you just pay as you go, but most of them require a retainer, and then they only take so many clients, so they have the time reserved for you. And I have 5 because there are different skill sets. So, for example, I'm working on a book, and I have someone who can help me with the editing of that. And she's in another state, so it's virtual work. We don't get together face-to-face ever. I can email things to her. She can email things back. If we need to talk, we can get on the phone. We can also share the same screen over the Internet. I have GoToMeeting, and I can get on the screen, and she and I can be looking at the same thing, just like we were sitting next to each other. And this is why I'm saying that I can do my work virtually, because I have these tools that I can use with my clients. And so it works for me, and it works for my virtual assistants.
That is excellent. There are so many people who, whether they are working from home or they're still in an office outside of the home, that really they've heard about the virtual assistant, but they're not really taking advantage of that. And so I think that hearing what you have been able to accomplish with virtual assistants and giving some examples of how you have been able to use a virtual assistant will prove to be very beneficial to our entrepreneurs who are listening today, because we are all wearing so many hats, and some things we do well and some things we don't do well, but all of it still needs to be done. And so when we can hear of a person who is a productivity expert, who is an organized, a person who is very organized and who also coaches people on how they can get their lives better organized, and you hear it from a person such as yourself, then I think that gives us a little bit more encouragement to start to look at other ways in which we can get our business handled in a more effective way.
Can I just make a quick plug for an organization that I've found to be really helpful with that?
Sure.
It's called AssistU, ASSIST, the letter U.com, and they certify virtual assistants. And so they have to go through a rigorous thing to kind of prove that they have the skill set that they say they have, and then they are certified through AssistU. And you go as someone who wants to hire someone, you go and you apply, you put an application in, and you describe exactly what you're looking for. And then the Assist You certified assistants, who are all business owners of their own, they don't work for Assist You, that's an organization they belong to.
Mm-hmm.
They are sent the profiles or the applications, whatever you want to call it, of the people who are looking for the skill set that they offer. So Assist You matches the two together. It's kind of like Match.com, where you have, they only send them the applications that would be fitting for them to consider. And if they feel that they're a good fit and they have time at that point in their career, they then email you and tell you that they would very much like to be interviewed. So that's the process. And I've utilized that for several assistants, and I've found some wonderful people that way. There are many other ways to get assistance as well, but that's a wonderful resource if people don't know where to begin.
And I really do appreciate that, because sometimes they don't know where to begin. And to know that there is an actual organization out there, or probably several other organizations, but again, we have an expert on the phone, and so therefore for us to be able to get the information from you, then that also gives our entrepreneurs a little bit more direction. And so that's www.assistu, the letter U.com. That's correct, Kathy?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, great. Well, as we were just talking about, like, the virtual assistant, there are, in helping us to get organized, some of the things that we've kind of left undone seem to be kind of rather destructive types of habits, And so how do we break them? How do we foster new habits? If you could just give us some help on that.
Well, I think it has to start with the foundation, and the foundation is really about looking at your own values and what you want in life, and identifying what are your priorities based on your values, not on someone else's, not on what someone else thinks you should do with your life, but what you want to do, how you want to contribute to this earth. And so that's the big foundational piece. And from that, then you can do some planning. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people do the knee-jerk reaction of they react instead of respond. There's a big difference. Reacting is just knee-jerk, and that's part of the habit. And response is thought out. And if we want to have our lives different, we've got to make different choices. Someone once said, if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same results. And one definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So, I've misquoted that, but if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll keep getting what we're getting. And so we need to do things differently. And in order to do things differently, sometimes the best way to do that is to plan it. I do weekly planning, and I do quarterly and 30-day and weekly planning. I used to do annual planning, and my life changes so rapidly these days that I've abandoned the annual planning. And I'm now to the 90-day, the 30-day, the weekly, and then every night before I go to bed, I have an accountability partner. And I've been with the same accountability partner since last fall. Every night I send her an email, and she sends me an email. It's a very simple, short email. I put what I'm grateful for. I put at least one thing that I'm grateful for. And then I put a happy, a healthy, and a wealthy goal. And that gives balance. That's very important to entrepreneurs, that we build balance into our lives, because we can get so focused on the bottom line that we forget. And who cares if we're wealthy if we're not happy and healthy? So we need to look at all of it.
So you said that you, with your accountability partner, that you focus on a happy goal, a healthy goal, and a wealthy goal.
That is correct. So
okay, that's great.
happy, healthy, wealthy, and at least one goal for all of those. And I really caution people against putting a whole list of things in there. What I'm saying is that no matter what, that tomorrow my intention is I'm going to do this one thing in this one area. And then I have 3 of them, happy, healthy, and wealthy. I also will add a bonus goal sometimes. And the bonus is I'd really like to get to this, but if I don't, it's okay. I'm not making 100% commitment. I'm saying that I'd like to do that. But I'm committing to the happy, healthy, wealthy. Now, a really important component of that is that if I have a call with you, Anna, you're supposed to call me or I'm supposed to call you. It doesn't matter which, but we have a phone appointment. And if my goal, let's say my wealthy goal is to talk with you tomorrow, and you don't show up, then I didn't keep that goal. So I've learned to write the goal in such a way so that I'm 100% responsible. So I write it, be available for call with Anna Banks. And if I'm not available, then I didn't keep my goal. But whether we talk or not, I kept my goal if I was available for the call. Now, here's why that's so important. Because I have also committed, and this is where the real accountability is besides telling my partner about it, if I don't keep all 3 of those commitments, I'm going to set my alarm when I go to bed tonight for 3 a.m., and I'm going to get up and I'm going to have a walk with God. And me and God are going to have a little chat about why I didn't keep my promise to myself. Okay? I've done that a couple times, and I don't like it. And so I'll tell you, it really motivates me to keep my commitment to myself and honor that happy, healthy, and wealthy goal. So those are a few of the things that I think can help break destructive habits, is getting planning, being really clear about your priorities, planning, and then having an accountability partner to keep you accountable to honoring your plan. And then there are a couple of other things that I think are also important. And that would be having good systems in place, and that's where my productivity consulting comes in, and also getting help. If you aren't delegating some things, then you need to get some help because we can't do everything.
As much as we may want to or think we can. That is very, very true. I personally struggle with that all the time, and yet I have a great virtual assistant that helps me with just planning out the shows, and I don't know what I would do without her. So I can appreciate the getting help. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs really don't do. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree, and I think one of the reasons that they don't get help is, especially with the economy being the way it is, one of the first things they do is they say, I can't afford it. And so my question is, what is your time worth? If you're doing what you're best at and what you love most, what kind of income can you command? And if you're doing all the things, where the gnats are eating you alive, what kind of income can you command from that? So you have to look at the big picture. And if you really, truly just don't have the money right now to get any help, there are a lot of other ways you can get help. You can barter. You can find someone else who loves doing something that you hate doing, and it's not work to them, and you can find something of theirs that you love doing that they hate, and you can trade. So that's kind of a form of barter, I guess. There are ways that you can get help. If you have data entry, you might hire one of your own kids or a high school student who has reasonable keyboard skills. It doesn't have to be a professional for some things.
That is very true. I know one of the things that I have often encouraged people to do, especially if you need a certain level of skill, is your local colleges, your community colleges. Students are always looking for an honest way to make some additional money. And so I know that that's one of the great places that people can use, and so thank you for bringing that up.
Well, and also colleges sometimes they offer internships, and so let's say that you run a business and you need somebody to help you with your marketing, and there's a marketing major at the college who needs some experience. And you have to structure it in a way that the college would accept that as an internship. But in some cases, the pay is very low. Sometimes it could even be no pay. They're just getting the experience. And you're going to be giving some of your time for that in exchange for that. That's one that's a little bit tricky with home offices because there are some liability issues that many colleges do not want to take on in sending a student to your home. So I've found that myself working from a home office. If it's an entirely virtual job or we do all of our face-to-face meetings in a public place, that might be just fine.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, though, there are probably ways in which you can get that done. Sometimes it's just a matter of asking the career counselor, whoever is in charge of the work study or the internship, how you might be able to do it, because they're always looking to ensure that their students get the working experience that they need today. And so I absolutely agree, with you. Kathy, we have a couple of people on the line. I'm going to go out and check to see if they have any questions for you. They've been just patiently listening, and so let me check to see whether or not they have any questions for you. Okay, hold on, please.
All right.
Hello, caller 949. Do you have any questions for Kathy? Hello, caller 949. Okay, I guess they're just going to listen.
Okay.
Let me see. We have caller 770. Do you have any questions for Kathy? Welcome to Strictly Business. Okay. I guess they're also just going to listen. We don't always know whether or not our callers want to actually ask a question, but we always give them that opportunity. Just a couple of more questions just before we take a quick break, Kathy. And that seems to, and I can say this for myself, so I'm not just asking the question for those who have asked it in the past, but I seem to have so much stuff coming at me from all angles. I mean, I'm back in grad school. I'm running a business. I have the show. I have family, church, you name it, I have it. And so do a lot of other entrepreneurs. Is this common, or is it just me? Do I have ADD?
It's just you, Anna. There's nobody else on this earth that could relate to what you just said.
Oh, okay.
Well, of course, there are many other people, and I include myself in that from time to time as well. Again, because we have so many things flying in at us at the same time. And I've found a wonderful system that helps to manage things as they're flying in at the frenetic pace that they do. Mm-hmm. There are 5 types of things that tend to come into our lives. There's paper, email, voicemail, thoughts in our head about things that we want to do, and verbal requests from other people. So,
could you repeat that again, please, Kathy? What is that?
Okay.
What are those 5 things?
Paper, email,
mm-hmm.
Lots of email, voicemail, verbal requests from others, and thoughts in our heads, our to-do list, if you will.
Okay.
So, and I want to share my definition of clutter because I think it ties in with all of this. Here's how my definition goes. It's a little broader than what you might be used to. My definition is anything you own, possess, or do that does not enhance your life on a regular basis. Now, if you think about that definition, anything you own, possess, or do that does not enhance your life on a regular basis. Clutter is certainly things in our environment, but clutter can also be thoughts. Clutter can be activities. Clutter can even be relationships in our lives. And once we get clear about what is not enhancing our lives, we can begin to say no to it, throw it in the recycling bin, whatever that looks like, whether it's physical or not, we can let go of it. And that is a core part of managing all of this. And typically those 5 things, the paper, email, voicemail, verbal thoughts, verbal requests from others, and thoughts in our heads, those 5 things are represented in our physical environment, in our thoughts, in our activities, and in our relationships. So it's really important to get clear about what our priorities are, because otherwise we can't say whether or not it's enhancing our lives if we don't know what's important to us.
That's very true. And I think that also goes right back to one of the things that you shared with us about how we can break destructive habits. And that is by, first of all, being clear about what's important to us and then starting to plan. Yes. And so with that, we're going to be right back after a quick break when we will be talking again with Kathy Powell, listening for more ways in which we can get organized. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after a short break. All righty. As I said, it was going to be a very short break. Just gives our guests a few minutes to just get some additional water or something like that, because we want to make sure that everyone is comfortable when we are interviewing and getting information from our guests, who are always so liberally sharing their thoughts and their ideas, to make sure that our entrepreneurs and business owners get the help, get the assistance, get the additional ideas and resources that they need. And so I just want to welcome you back to Strictly Business. And today we have with us Kathy Powell, who is the president and CEO of Powerfully Organized. Kathy, welcome back to Strictly Business.
Thank you.
Just before the very quick break, you had given us a couple of things that we can do that will help us to better manage the clutter. Can you, as a productivity and organizational coach, an expert, of course, can you give us kind of an overview of the step-by-step process that you use with your clients? For starts, let's say, if I were to come to you and we were going to start to work together, what would be the first thing that you would ask me to do, or where would we start?
Well, if you invited me to help you organize your office, let's say your desk, and I'm going to assume that this would be over the phone because that's how I work. So I'm not physically in your office with you, but I'm on the phone. I can't see your desk, but that's really not important. What's important is that you can see your desk. because you're the one that's going to be making the decisions, and I'm going to be directing you by asking you some powerful questions. And I have the questions, you have the answers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a process that we use. It's a 5-step or 5-decision process. And you want to ask these questions in this order. That's important. If you draw a picture of a funnel, and at the top of the funnel you write the word discard or throw away or toss, whatever you prefer.
Okay.
As you go down the funnel, the next word is delegate. And below that is take immediate action. Below that is file for follow-up. And below that is file for reference. So those are the 5 decisions. Now I'm going to go through that process with you.
All right.
So pardon?
I said very good.
Okay. So you're at your desk, and I'm going to ask you to locate the papers on your desk that are the most important. Usually the ones that are kind of in the middle of the desk are the most important. And we're going to go through that pile together, and I'm going to ask you these questions. So do you have something you can pick up? Do you have any papers there?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Anna, what do you have there?
I have some notebooks, and I have a church directory, and I have the show notes for next week's show.
Okay. So just pick up one thing at a time, and I'm going to ask you some questions. So is this something you want to throw away?
No.
Okay. Is it something that you could give to someone else to do something with?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the things I could, yes.
Okay. So, and I'm asking you to just take one piece of paper at a time.
Okay.
Not the whole stack.
Right.
So
this I cannot give to
okay.
someone.
So is that something that requires immediate action? Are you going to do it right now while we wait?
No.
Okay. Does it require action by you at some point in the future?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Then that's going to be filed for future follow-up. And I use a tickler file. A tickler file has several components to it. It's got tabs in the front for 1 through 31, which is for the current month. And behind that are tabs for January through December. So that particular accordion file has 43 tabs in it, 31 plus 12. Then behind that are some customized tabs that you create. Some common ones might be like data entry for contact management. Another one might be data entry for financials. Another one might be a discuss file. So if you have, let's say that Sia, your assistant for this program, that you have something you want to discuss with her, you could have a Sia file, and that goes into the Sia file so that you can discuss that with her later.
All right.
Okay. So that one was a file for follow-up. If you said, no, I don't need to do anything with it, but I don't want to throw it away and I can't give it away, then it would just be file for reference. And then you would put it in a filing system. I use a filing system called the Paper Tiger, and I teach a monthly teleclass or webinar where you can learn more about the Paper Tiger and actually see how it works. It's a wonderful finding system. I can find anything I file or store in 5 seconds or less. And so if you don't have a good filing system that you can rely on, I encourage you to take a look at it. And I'll be giving some information later on about how you can find more info about that.
That's great, because I was going to ask you about that. So at a more appropriate time towards the end, if you would give us that information, that'll be great.
I'd be happy to. I've been using that filing system for over 10 years now, and I can find anything in my files in 5 seconds or less, and my clients can in their files too. So it's a phenomenal tool, and that is the 5th decision of those 5. So let's go on to the next item. So you've identified that, and the next question would be, what's the next action you need to take with that piece of paper that you have in your hands? So what would be the next action?
File for follow-up.
But I mean, what do you need to do with it? What is your next action? Are you clear about that?
What I'm going to do with
In other words, do you need to call someone? Do you need to write something? Do you whatever the action, I don't know what it is. But
No, I don't need to do anything. It's complete until next week.
Okay. But you said you
I
need
just need to review it.
Okay, so review. That's what I was getting at. So the next action that you need to take is to review it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes,
and then you
correct.
decide, so there are two questions you ask yourself. What's the next action I need to take, and when am I going to do it? If you're down the funnel to the fourth choice, which is file for follow-up, what's the next action? When am I going to do it?
Okay.
So then you put it in the tickler file for when you're going to review it.
Very good.
Okay. Now we go on to the next item. So what's the next item in your pile?
It's notebook.
Okay. And so can you throw that away?
Oh, no.
Can you give it away? Can you delegate it?
No.
Does it require immediate action? Are you going to do something with it right this second?
Not right this second, but in a few hours.
In a few hours. Okay. So because that's today, I would be inclined to leave that out rather than putting it in a file. But unless it's today, if it's tomorrow, it goes in the tickler file for tomorrow.
All right.
Okay?
But
so that's how that process works. So we go through, and I don't go through somebody's entire office with them, but I teach them that process, and I go through, I might spend a half hour or so going through some things with them until they really understand how it works and they understand the questions they need to be asking themselves. I have more questions, and I teach a free webinar once a month called Buried in Paper, and I teach this system in more detail. So if you're interested, you're welcome to come learn more about that.
Sure,
that is the process.
In fact, can you go ahead and give us that information, and then we'll still make sure that you give us the additional information before we wrap up today on the webinar.
So for more information, I have a lot of freebies on my website. My website is orgcoach.net. That's O-R-G, like organizing. orgcoach.net, not .com, but .net.
Okay.
Somebody's been trying to sell orgcoach.com to me for years, and I won't pay their $3,000 or whatever they want for it. So I don't own it. It's orgcoach.net. And when you get there, you'll see there's a place that you can sign up for a free e-course that I offer. And then if you go to the bottom of the page, you'll see some boxes, and you'll see a free webinars box. And you can sign up for both of those webinars that I mentioned, the Buried in Paper and the Find Anything in 5 Seconds or Less, by clicking on the hyperlink there.
Those are valuable tools and resources, so that I'm sure that our entrepreneurs who are listening will definitely go out and sign up for that, because that is one of the things that does become just a source of frustration when we're trying to find something, can't seem to find it, and we always need it right then. And so I tell you, I just keep mine in nice, neat piles. I know you probably don't want to hear that, Kathy, but that's just the truth. So after you've gone through this step by step, and I thank you so much for just taking us through that little scenario, because I think that helps not only myself but also all of our listeners to get a better understanding of how you, or perhaps some other how an organizational coach would be able to help them to organize themselves better. Just that little snippet. I can now just go and start to think about, do I really need this piece of paper? Do I need to file it? Do I need to do some other things with it? And so that really gave me some clear direction.
Well, and when you take the Buried in Paper teleclass, I go into more detail about how do you decide if you should keep it or toss it. I have some really powerful questions that I share. And I also want to mention that we've been talking about paper, but you can use this same process, the 5 decisions, with electronic information. So, for example, let's say email. The first question is, can I throw this away? That would be translated to, can I hit the delete button? The second one would be, can I delegate it? Can I forward it to someone else? The third would be, does it require immediate action? That would be hit reply and take care of it. The fourth would be, does it require future action? I'm not going to do it right now, but I do want to respond to this. And then I would put a red flag on it. You can put red flags if you're using Outlook or Outlook Express, and I don't know all the other email programs out there, but you can put a red flag on it, and then you can sort all of your red flags together and come back later and deal with those. And then the fifth would be, do I just need to keep it? I don't need to do anything with it, but I just want to keep it. And rather than keeping it in your inbox, you can drag and drop it into an appropriate folder for filing away. So that's the process, just used electronically.
That's wonderful, because again, when you're as you mentioned earlier, some of the things that do tie us up a lot, and especially in this time of electronic media, we have so much email that comes in until it's almost unmanageable. So just having those quick tools will definitely help. And so again, for those who are in the chat room, those who are listening, go out to www.orgcoach.net and sign up for those complimentary teleclasses. I'm sure that they will be of immeasurable benefit to you. I know that I'm going to be signing up for them myself. And so thank you for, giving us those tips, especially for the email. Kathy, what are some of the results that a client, once they've come to you, that they've been able to achieve?
Well, that's a loaded question, because it totally depends on their level of commitment to maintaining the systems that are set up and then practicing what they've learned. And I want to go back to the importance of having an accountability partner, because that can really keep us honest. We say one thing and then we do another, and when we're sharing with another human being what our intentions are, we're much more likely to follow through. I also want to make the point that accountability partner is probably best not a close relative or friend, because people who are close to us tend to be judgmental. It just kind of comes with the territory. It's really hard not to judge. And you really need somebody who's non-judgmental, who's holding you accountable. Because if you show up on either via email or telephone or however you do your accountability check-ins, and the other person is chastising you for not doing what you said you were going to do, you're probably going to shut down, and you're not going to be sharing with them for much longer.
Yeah.
So it's important that the accountability partner suspend judgment and just hold that space for you to share your accountabilities with them.
That's an excellent idea, because yes, we can get a little miffed with friends and relatives who tell us the things that we probably need to hear anyway, but because it is them, we take it to heart, and as you said, may wind up shutting down. But what are some of the things, though, that since that was a loaded question, what are some of the things that you've heard from the people that you have coached? What are some of the things, the things that they've said to you about how they've benefited from the work that you've helped them with?
Well, I'm particularly proud of one testimonial that I have on my website from Jack Canfield. He invited me to his home office in October in Santa Barbara, and he left me a 5-minute testimonial, which I have on my website. And so you can hear right from the horse's mouth how he benefited from working with me. And it's typically time savings, being more focused on priorities, having a greater sense of peace, reducing stress, being able to be more responsive to clients' needs, to our own needs, to our family's needs. It really runs the whole gamut, because when you make a shift, even if it's just a shift at work, it affects the rest of your life. It affects your family life. It affects your volunteer life. It affects your time with your friends. It affects your health. And that's going back to that happy, healthy, wealthy, those 3 goals. They're all related. And when you make a shift in one environment, it affects all the other 9 environments. There are 9 environments of you, and only one of them is the physical environment. So they're all related.
Great.
So I think it's very significant when you make that one shift, because it does have a ripple effect on all the other parts of your life.
Mm-hmm. So Kathy, we're coming to the end of our show. We have about 4 minutes left, and I know that I asked a number of questions, but is there any one bit of advice that you want to provide that we have not yet covered, and what is it?
Well, I think the bottom line is we're all here on this earth to be in relationship with each other, and I think it's so important that we extend ourselves to express gratitude and appreciation and concern and congratulations and all of those kinds of things. So I start my day every day by sending a card of gratitude to someone I care about. And I do have one other tool that I want to mention that has been a great resource for me personally, and that is a company called Send Out Cards. And it helps me to, and as a business owner, it helps me as well, because I'm able to stay in touch with prospects, clients, referral partners, and people do business with people they know, like, trust, and remember. And I've got some information on my website about Send Out Cards. If you want to try it out, or if you have questions, there's more information at orgcoach.net. So I won't take any more time with that. But I think whether you use Send Out Cards or you go to Hallmark or you do whatever, I think that there's something really powerful about a connection in a very personal way. We've gotten so impersonal with text messaging and emails and e-cards. They're more contact than nothing, but we've moved away from that personal touch, and I think that is so core to business. So it's not just a personal thing; it's a business thing too.
Yes, and Kathy, well, you and I both, share that philosophy, because I too, I'm an avid Send Out Cards user. I've always been a card user. That's one of the things that always, it really does. It helps to not only establish new relationships, but also helps us to maintain our existing relationships. And so thank you for mentioning that very powerful tool.
You're welcome.
You mentioned a number of great productivity tools. Kathy, how can people get more information about you and about your company and about some of the tools, Paper Tiger and things like that you've mentioned?
Well, again, you'll find everything on orgcoach.net, orgcoach.net. And when you go there, at the bottom of the page, you'll see 6 little boxes, and each box leads to a different area in my company, and you can read more about it, and there's a lot of free information. I've got a bunch of resources that are listed at the bottom of the page as well, so lots and lots of free tools there, and I encourage you to check it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy Powell, for being with us today on Strictly Business. This was not only informative, but it was also fun, and it was a joy for me. So we must do this again. And for our listeners today, I just want to thank you for joining us today on Strictly Business, and to encourage you to come and visit us next week when we will be talking about new technology for small business, what's hot and what's not, with Alistair Hunt, who is the president and CEO of Presario Productions. So thank you again, and come back and join us next week for Strictly Business.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay.
Well, thank you very much. That was fun.
Yes, and you provided a lot of great information for our listeners and for those who will be listening to the show in the archives. Absolutely fabulous information. And I keep forgetting that you do so many of the things that you do. And so I really appreciate your, spending this past hour with us, Kathy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I appreciate the opportunity. I love helping people, and if this can help even one person, it's worth the investment of time. So.
Yes.
I would like to also put a link on my website so that people can hear the show. And so will you be sending me a link to that, or how do I?
Yes, we can definitely do that. But in fact, the link that Sia put in the email.
In the most recent
is the
one?
actual, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That is the actual link.
Okay, great.
Your show. Now you can actually put a what do they call it? A little widget, a little player right on your website. All you have to do is just come to Strictly Business, or when you come into that, use that link. You'll see over to the right will say, get your player.
Okay, so I'm going to the HTML page that was sent to me, and I see the page, and so...
And to the right, there should be something that says get your player or get a player. There should be like a little box.
I see Blog Talk Radio. Is that where it is?
Okay. Let me do this. Let me just double check exactly how to do it. They just revamped the entire system. We just got a brand new system with new widgets and things January 5th, and so we're still understanding all that was available. It used to be right over there on the right side of your of the show page. You could just click there and it would be right there. But
it says use this button to share information from this site, and then it has the word share. And
now that you can use to push it out into cyberspace.
Right.
So if you are on Friendster, or if you're on Blogger, or there are a lot of social networking sites out there, that you can actually send it. But to actually have it on your website, there is some HTML that will create the badge and a player, so that all people have to do is just press the button and they will actually hear it.
Right, that's what I wanted, and I'm not really clear about that. So if
I'll go back in and or Sia will send the HTML to you.
Okay, that'd be great. I have an HTML link here, and it takes me to this page. But what I'm not sure about is
looking for
what's
is
the
actual
MP3
one that creates
or
the actual button.
Right. Okay. Great.
Mm-hmm.
All
we'll
right.
make sure that you get that probably before the end of the day.
Okay. Super.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks again, Kathy. Yeah, and let everybody know that you were on, and I'm telling you, you're a great guest and information packed, and that's what people want to hear.
Great. Well, and if you ever want to do a show on gratitude and appreciation and kind of appreciation marketing, I guess would be another way of thinking about it. That would be, I don't know if that's something that would be in the realm of what you would want to do, but that might be another possibility. That would be a tough one to do the whole hour, just audio though, I think, unless we had other people, had several guests.
Well, let me talk to Sia. We might be able to, somehow to do that.
Right.
I know Mother's Day is coming up. That's a great time. So we're always looking to see how we can incorporate a number of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again.
I will make sure that you get the HTML for the player.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. Thank
Thanks
you.
much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.